Bullies laughed at farm girl twins, until the twins made them screaming for mercy. A story by Heartfelt Tales. The first day Emma and Sarah walked through the gates of Lincoln High School, the silence was deafening. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. The identical twins, dressed in their simple gray dresses with worn leather boots, clutched their handmade cloth bags and kept their eyes fixed straight ahead. They had prepared for this moment their entire lives, but nothing could have readied them for the sea of designer clothes, smartphones, and judgmental stares that greeted them. "Look what the farm dragged in," came a voice from the crowd, followed by snickers and whispers that seemed to echo through the hallway like thunder. Emma and Sarah Henderson had spent their 16 years on their family's remote farm, 30 miles outside of town. Their father had been homeschooling them since elementary age, teaching them everything from calculus to literature between morning chores and evening harvests. But when a sudden injury left him unable to work, the twins were forced to enroll in public school so their mother could take a job in town to support the family. The twins had always been inseparable. Born just minutes apart, they moved with an almost supernatural synchronization, finishing each other's sentences and sharing thoughts without words. On the farm, this connection had been their greatest strength. At Lincoln High, it made them an even bigger target. Tyler Morrison, the school's star quarterback and undisputed king of the social hierarchy, spotted them first. With his perfectly styled hair and leather jacket, he commanded respect through intimidation and cruelty. His followers, Jake, Marcus, and Devin, formed a circle of torment that had made countless students' lives miserable over the years. "Well, Tyler announced loudly as the twins attempted to navigate to their lockers. "Looks like we've got ourselves some Amish refugees. Did you two escape from a history museum?" The hallway erupted in laughter. Students pulled out their phones, recording what they were sure would become viral content. Emma and Sarah's faces burned with embarrassment, but they continued walking, their heads held high despite the humiliation washing over them. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Tyler called out, stepping directly into their path. "Don't you farm girls have any manners? Or are you too busy milking cows to learn basic social skills?" Sarah, usually the quieter of the two, finally stopped walking. Her green eyes, identical to her sister's, flashed with a controlled anger that made Tyler take an unconscious step backward. "Excuse me," she said politely, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "We're just trying to get to class." "Oh, it speaks." Marcus chimed in, earning another round of laughter from the growing crowd. "What's wrong with the other one? Did the sheep get her tongue?" Emma's jaw tightened, but she placed a gentle hand on her sister's arm. They had faced adversity before, harsh winters that killed livestock, droughts that threatened their family's livelihood, neighbors who looked down on their simple way of life. But this felt different. This felt personal and cruel in a way that nature's challenges never had. The harassment continued throughout their first week. Their lunches were knocked to the ground. Their textbooks were accidentally kicked down hallways. Cruel memes featuring their photos circulated on social media with captions mocking their clothes, their hairstyles, their very existence. The twins endured it all with quiet dignity, never retaliating, never complaining, but something was building inside them, a storm gathering strength. What Tyler and his crew didn't know was that the Henderson twins weren't just farm girls. They were survivors who had been shaped by challenges that would have broken most teenagers. They had delivered calves in blizzards, fought off coyotes to protect their sheep, and worked 18-hour days during harvest season. Their hands might have looked soft in their simple dresses, but they were forged from steel. More importantly, they had been trained by their father, a former Marine who had lost his leg in combat. Every morning before dawn, he had taught them self-defense, not just the physical techniques but the mental discipline required to stay calm under pressure. He had always told them that true strength wasn't about overpowering others, it was about protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The breaking point came on a Friday afternoon in the school courtyard. Tyler and his friends had cornered Amy Chen, a shy freshman with thick glasses and a stutter, demanding she hand over her lunch money. Amy was trembling, tears streaming down her face as she fumbled through her backpack. Please," she whispered. "I don't have any money. I bring my lunch from home." "Then I guess we'll have to find another way for you to pay us," Tyler said menacingly, reaching for her backpack. Emma and Sarah had been sitting quietly on a nearby bench, reviewing notes for their afternoon chemistry test. They watched the scene unfold with growing anger, remembering every humiliation they had suffered, every cruel word that had been directed at them. But this wasn't about them anymore. This was about someone smaller, more vulnerable, who didn't have a sister standing beside her. The twins exchanged a single look, the kind of wordless communication that only they understood. In that moment, they made a decision that would change everything. "Leave her alone," Emma said, standing up from the bench. Tyler turned, surprised by the interruption. "Oh look, it's the Barnes sisters. What are you going to do about it, farm girl? Call your daddy to come save you on his tractor." "We're going to ask you nicely one more time," Sarah said, rising to stand beside her sister. "Leave Amy alone, and walk away." The crowd that had gathered began to buzz with excitement. This was better than any reality show drama. Phone cameras appeared again, ready to capture what everyone assumed would be the twins' ultimate humiliation. Tyler laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the courtyard walls. "You want to dance, country girls? Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you." He lunged forward, expecting easy prey. What he got instead was 16 years of farm work reflexes and military training. Emma sidestepped his attack with fluid grace, using his own momentum to send him stumbling past her. Before he could recover, Sarah had moved behind him, sweeping his legs and sending him crashing to the ground. The courtyard fell silent except for Tyler's groaning. Jake, Marcus, and Devin moved in next, their faces twisted with anger and embarrassment. They had expected to watch their leader easily handle two farm girls. Instead, they found themselves facing opponents who moved like dancers and struck like lightning. What followed wasn't a fight, it was a masterclass in controlled precision. The twins moved together as if they were two parts of the same person, each knowing exactly where the other would be. They used their opponent's aggression against them, redirecting attacks and using minimal force to maximum effect. Within minutes, all four bullies were on the ground, groaning and defeated. But the twins weren't finished. As Tyler struggled to his feet, his face red with rage and humiliation, Emma stepped forward. "You want to know what we learned on our farm?" she asked, her voice carrying clearly across the silent courtyard. "We learned that predators only attack what they think is weak. But we also learned something else." Sarah moved to stand beside her sister, both of them radiating a calm confidence that made even the watching crowd take a step back. "We learned that real strength isn't about hurting people smaller than you," Sarah continued. "It's about protecting them. It's about standing up when standing up is hard. It's about treating people with dignity, even when they're different from you." Tyler wiped blood from his split lip, his eyes darting between the twins and the crowd of students who were now looking at him with something very different from respect. "You think you're so tough," he spat. "This isn't over." Emma smiled, not with cruelty, but with the quiet confidence of someone who had found their strength. "You're right," she said. "It's not over. Because every time you try to hurt someone smaller than you, every time you think you can push people around just because they're different, we'll be here. And now everyone knows that you're not nearly as tough as you pretend to be." The twins helped Amy to her feet, checking to make sure she wasn't hurt. The freshman looked at them with awe and gratitude that brought tears to her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's what sisters do," Sarah replied gently. "We look out for each other." As the crowd began to disperse, something remarkable happened. Students who had been silent witnesses to months of Tyler's bullying began to approach the twins. Some thanked them quietly. Others shared their own stories of being tormented. A few asked if they could sit with Emma and Sarah at lunch. Within days, the dynamic at Lincoln High had completely shifted. Tyler and his crew found themselves isolated, their reign of terror ended by two farm girls who had shown everyone what real courage looked like. The twins became unlikely leaders, not because they sought power, but because they had demonstrated something far more valuable: character. Emma and Sarah continued to dress simply, continued to speak with quiet dignity, continued to carry themselves with the grace they had learned from years of hard work and strong values. But now their classmates saw these qualities differently. Instead of weakness to be mocked, they saw strength to be admired. The twins organized study groups for struggling students, started a peer mentoring program for freshmen, and created a safe space for anyone who felt different or alone. Their simple farm wisdom, that everyone deserves respect, that real strength comes from lifting others up, and that true courage means standing up for what's right even when it's difficult, transformed the entire school culture. Years later, as Emma and Sarah walked across the stage at graduation as co-valedictorians, they would remember that day in the courtyard not as the moment they defeated their bullies, but as the moment they discovered their true purpose. They had learned that being different wasn't something to hide from, it was their greatest gift. Their father, watching from the audience with tears in his eyes, knew that his daughters had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest battles aren't won with fists or weapons. They're won with courage, compassion, and the unshakable belief that every person deserves to be treated with dignity. The farm girls who had been laughed at for their differences had become the leaders their school desperately needed. And in doing so, they had shown everyone around them that true strength doesn't come from tearing others down, it comes from building them up, one person at a time. In the end, the bullies who had once made them targets had indeed screamed for mercy, not from physical pain, but from the crushing weight of their own shame when faced with genuine courage and character. And perhaps, in witnessing that transformation, they too had learned something valuable about what it means to be truly strong.